The week of November 3rd to the 9th, astrology is a big jam-packed week ahead. We have Uranus moving away from the sign of Gemini back into Taurus, where he's going to be until next spring in the month of April. That's a really big deal. And we also see Venus and Mars changing signs. Venus goes into her detriment in Scorpio. Mars heads into his fire-powered, can I say, kinetic objects flying through the sky. Mars placement in Sagittarius this week ahead. Well, he opposes Uranus for some shock and awe and big surprises. Add to that a very stabilizing and positive Taurus moon on the 5th of November. And we have quite the damn hell of a week ahead, everyone. Today, in our week ahead world overview, followed by your all signs guidance, I'm going to tell you what the focus will be. It will be Mars's movement into Sagittarius, where when he does this sliding into Sagittarius, he's going to, and the time will be on November the 4th, he's going to also be directly opposite Uranus in the sign of Gemini. And that is going to be a very intense time for world events. It's connected to a couple of other themes that we're going to talk about world astrology wise from the past, including the bullet that clipped the ear of you know who. Dr. Donald Trump. That event is connected to this Mars-Uranus cycle. So it does involve that attempt on his life. It's that unaliving attempt. And so there's themes that are quite intense to come up with this week ahead. I'm going to be drawing our attention to also world events regarding the nation of Iran connected to this Mars-Uranus cycle as well. But in your own sign, we're going to talk about how Mars moving into the sign of Sagittarius on its very own is not the end of the world. It means you're going to have a lot of passion, power, excitement, and stimulation going on where the Sagittarius sky exists in your chart. And this is going to apply for 6 weeks until about December the 12th. So there's an energy field, something new is coming into your life. You are not a public figure that someone wants to unalive. So you're going to be just fine. The other thing I want to mention is you don't need to worry about Uranus going into Gemini and what it means for you until next April. Why? Because Gemini going back into Taurus. Because I did a big, long, deep dive video for that. And I really covered how you can expect the grand finale of Uranus moving through the sign that he's been hovering in, Taurus, fixed Earth, ever since 2018. I covered that in my Uranus video already. So please check that out. And I'll put a link to that in the description box and in the comments. And I also really deep dove into that moon, the Taurus moon, which I quite like as a standalone product. And I talk about how you can use that Taurus lunation as well. And while the Taurus lunation is fulfilling itself, Venus is still in Libra, her home kingdom, the owner of that Taurus moon. So the moon bakes in something much more positive than after when Venus moves into Scorpio. So I'm recommending you watch that video. Again, I'll put a link to it in my description box and in the comments so that you can go ahead and I don't cover the same territory twice, the same ground twice is going to drive me insane. My name is Lori Luthi and welcome. This is my channel. I'm using the whole sign house system, fixed stars and minor asteroids. If you'd like to learn about your own best timing for the year ahead of 2026, you won't believe the deal. It's only $44 to get my 12 videos, 2 to 2.5 hour videos each, depends. Some of their very times. I'm recording them now, and a PDF guidebook for the year ahead. And all of that is my yearly fundraiser for my channel, where I create enough money to pay some staff, get some help, buy the equipment I need. And this year, creating a scholarship fund for people who can't afford classes with me or even can't afford readings to be able to apply for a needs-based assistance. And that is a fund that I will use to serve their needs as well. So check it out below. There's a link to get it. No, you can't just buy your one sign in a pre-price product. It's $66 for the All Signs bundle starting December 1st. The product is delivered to your inbox on December 1st as a PDF download with hidden links to these videos and of course the PDF guidebook. You're only going to be able to get that price now. I do not give you a discount price on the individual signs. You have to get the bundle, but it is so affordable because the individual signs are going to be $33 anyway per sign. And so you get like 12 signs for only $44. And you can share with friends and family and put it in a stocking stuffer and a gift basket or whatever you like. So I'm trying to convince you it's a deal. All right. Thanks for listening. Link below to purchase a product. All right. So my throat is kind of weird. Like everyone around me, like everyone I know, people came down with this kind of flu-like thing, sore throat, headache. Some people got cough, congestion. I had it, but I had the lightest, most mild version I could imagine. I somehow escaped it being as bad as everyone around me, but I still have a little bit left and my throat is still not quite normal. So I apologize if I sound like I'm, hacking, but that's just the leftover grunge. Okay. All right. So the week ahead. It is a very intense week because Mars comes into that sign of I'll show you the chart in a minute, that sign of Sagittarius. And when he arrives there on November the 4th, if he was just going into that sign by himself with no major other stories to talk about, we could just say something like, watch for a lot of intensity around archery, things that fly like arrows through the sky, but maybe not so bad, maybe just military drills or something, But then we add the element, and this is important. We add the element that Uranus is sitting exactly at 0 degrees of Gemini, 180 degrees away, and that's called an opposition. And Uranus and Gemini could be technology, it could be internet, it could be things to do with AI, it could be things to do with war that involve two nations who are neighbors fighting each other, or two civil war energy, or like neighbors, brothers in combat. And shock and awe, Uranus. And then Mars is disruption. And so Mars will disrupt something. So he could disrupt the internet. Sagittarius, where he's going, is flights, international flights could be disrupted. Cyber attacks could happen. This is something that may occur, around Wednesday, maybe most likely no longer than a day or two before and up to 4 or 5 days after. If we don't account for sign-based oppositions, I'd say we start the week with this oppositional energy as Mars is opposing astronomically Uranus, and all this energy is taking place. Now, it is connected to what we call a synodic cycle, meaning that at one point, Mars, every couple of years, will bump into Uranus. And Uranus used to be ever since 2018 and 19 full time in the sign of Taurus, which happens to be a once every 4-year cycle. And that meant every 2 years, Mars would bump into Uranus and Taurus. So I'm shaking. But that won't happen again because we're done with that cycle. It's going to be like 7-8 years of Mars and Uranus combining forces in Gemini. And so this older Taurus cycle is over. A Taurus cycle is a part of the crypto markets, digital currencies, exploratory technologies to do with land and farming, earthquakes and weather extremes, all of that Uranus going through the sign of Taurus. But if you go back to July 15th of 2024, Uranus and Mars joined together around 26 degrees of Taurus. And that is right on Donald Trump's midheaven, which is his career and reputation point. Also, when we leave our body, because we're going to fly to heaven, we leave out the like tube up the elevator of the midheaven. So it could be a death portal. And in that year, I did about a week and a half, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks before he was nearly unalived. I talked about that he was in danger because this energy of Mars and Uranus was combining forces on his midheaven. And I said around the 15th, he needs to watch out. And it was then on the 13th that happened to him 2 days before. And so astrology can be used to predict potential areas of harm to an individual. And that was a perfect example. So that is a cycle that has a lot to do with the presidency in the Western Hemisphere of Donald Trump. So then we look at what we call the opening square, or the Republican Party or the MAGA movement. Take it like fight, take it as you will. It was a turning point in his popular appeal after he almost got unalived. And if you have a conspiracy that he didn't, and it was just a packet of stage blood, fine, I don't care. It was a turning point in the campaign for him, one of the major ones. But then, if you want to say this, what happened next is Mars continued to move through the sky. And eventually, Mars ended up opposing Uranus, being the opposite sign of Uranus. Okay, not opposite, squaring Uranus. And Mars, on June the 15th, 2025, Mars was traveling through Leo and was in a square or a 90-degree formation to Uranus at 20 degrees of Taurus. And that's all close to the star Algol. Algol is decapitation. That Donald Trump's midheaven's on the decapitation star. When Mars and Uranus were on his midheaven on the decapitation star, he almost got decapitated. And then we see that on June 15th, Mars was squaring Uranus at 20 8 degrees of Taurus, all right, from the sign of Leo, 28 Leo. Where's Donald Trump's ascendant? 29 Leo. Where's his Mars? Around 26 Leo. Again, this tracks really well with the Donald Trump narrative. What happened at that time? Well, in June, one of the main things that happened, there's so many. The big thing is Iran, but before that, just around the 15th, and Trump was in the news cycle in a massive way regarding his new ICE deportation, like announcements and things to do with major cities that are going to be targeted. So there's that. That was a big news cycle in June. But he also came home from the Middle East, where he was in Qatar or something, and he rushed back to Washington. Now, of course, there's Qatari and peace negotiations going on in the Middle East to solve the problem in the Middle East with the nation of I. And so I don't say that nation's name anymore. It's a red flag for suppression. And what happened was he greenlighted the situation of attacking Iran and got the United States participating in that attack on Iran and its nuclear facilities. And funny enough, they called it Operation, what was it called? Some stupid name. Operation Midnight something, Midnight Hour. Midnight something. Why do they do this? Why do they? Oh, now I lost my light because it's like crazy weird weather here. Why do they do this? And something that's interesting, the last time that the United States actually launched a kinetic device called a BOMB at Iran was back in 1988, 1987, 1988. There was 2 episodes, but the 88 one was a big deal. And they called that Operation Praying Mantis. And then the launching of a kinetic device at Iran was Nimble Archer in the fall of 87. It had to do with offshore oil platforms. It had to do with, disabling some of the Iran's capabilities, retaliating for a landmine that the frigate, one of their frigates, one of the United States frigates bumped into. I don't know if you can retaliate for a landmine, but okay, in the water, a water landmine. So anyway, Praying Mantis and Nimble Archer, why I'm bringing that up, the last time the United States did that, actually launched an attack at Iran, we were in the same eclipse cycle. The Virgo Aries eclipse cycle was going on throughout 1988. And that's the same eclipse cycle we're in right now. So there is a parallel. And although we did see some minimal participation of the United States to assist its who's wagging the dog's tail, but anyway, to assist the nation of I in the Middle East, well, pretending peace negotiations were going on. I think that the nation of I called it, the Red Wedding from the Game of Thrones, which is a story of betrayal, inviting people to the wedding and attacking and killing. Same thing, right? We're pretending we're having peace negotiations, and while we're doing that, and you're distracted because the Americans are negotiating peace and stuff like that, we're going to attack you guys or whatever. They were negotiating the actual treaties around nuclear inspections and stuff like that. So yeah, there's no trust left there, right? Yeah, good faith acting, United States, no. So Iran won't trust the United States again. And so what's going to happen is something to do maybe with that story. Again, I'm doing my world astrology. I will do your sign. It will be very possible that sometime in the next week ahead, the story will return on narratives specifically involving Trump, specifically involving things to do with war, specifically things to do with war connected to the nation of Iran, vis-a-vis the nation of I need a new code name for the predatory nation that's gone rogue. Well, the pariah predatory rogue nation, I can't call it its real name. So let's think of a code name from now on so I can actually do some world astrology. Someone come up in the comments for future videos on a fun code name, and that would be really helpful to me. Okay, so that's the downside of the world astrology for the week ahead. Yikes. Well, yeah, that's what we got. That's what we got. Sagittarius has a war star in it. Okay, it's called Antares. And that war star sits around 10 degrees, 9, 10, 11 degrees of Sagittarius. Mars will be crossing that war star around the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th of the month. So when Mars crosses Antares, quite often we'll see something looking like a war story or a conflict of some proportion entering into our news cycle. It's kind of not as bad as it could be, I think, because Uranus will move backwards on November 7th this week and November 7th will fall on a Friday. will move back into the sign of Taurus and be in an out of sign relationship to Uranus. So the real intensity of Uranus and Taurus, well, Mars is in Sag, is not a big deal. It's called an aversion. But when it's the Uranus in Gemini, that's through till Thursday, opposite Mars in Sag, that's where the sparks can fly. Okay. Okay. Let's get going and talk about your sign and this week ahead. So yes, Venus, I have to remind you, she's not good in Scorpio. Yes, you can say it's the season of the witch. Season of the witch. And she's in her mystical way, and she's going to be sleuthy, investigative, and forensic in the sign of three-letter agencies and stealth and hidden things and detective work. People who do very active detective work who are females, like Tulsi Gabbard, who's supposed to be doing that, and also people like Candace Owens, who are very busy doing that, will be in the highlighted energetic of the collective, as we see Venus moving into Scorpio. And she does slide into Scorpio on Thursday, November the 6th, and remains there until December the 1st. And I will be covering her week by week and talking to you about her in various stories throughout her travels through the sign of Scorpio. So stay tuned for that. Big deal. Mars as well on the 4th in Sag. Venus on the 6th moves into Scorpio. 5th, 6th, time zone dependent probably, but I've got the 6th written down. And then we also can see that Uranus slides backwards into Taurus. Well, he'll be till the 3rd week of April next year. That's your last grand finale. Check the video out on that already. Thank you. All right. If you don't know about my Pluto Chronicles, that's where I can address this conversation without code words, tell you how I feel, use words that are really true to how I feel about the situation, but also the astrology, and not worrying about the things that will get me demonetized here. So there is a lot of algorithmic suppression, as well as just concern that by monetizing my channel, advertisers don't want to be monetized on things that have to do with kinetic devices flying through the air. We always forget, right, that the sign of war we think is Aries. The sign of rulers is kings. And the sign of Aries is that soldiers on the battlefield, right? But the sign of Sagittarius are the objects that fly through the sky that penetrate buildings and people, whatever. You know what I mean? They're the weapons. So all the air signs can involve war from different angles. The Leo's king who pronounces it. And then we have the soldiers on the field. That's the Aries energy. And then we have the warriors. And then we have the kinetic devices that move through the air, like bow and arrow, the archer, and you get it all. It's interesting that even the United States, who's a Sag rising, with their ascendant on the war star Antares, thus the industrial military complex and the endless forever wars. It's interesting that they called that operation in 1987 Nimble Archer. And you wonder who their astrologers are on staff when they were attacking oil rigs or something that belonged to Iran. All right, let's get going. I'm going to show you the sky. We're going to talk about your sign. We're going to talk about your sign as is it in the energy of the changing of the guard of Mars moving through the sign of Sagittarius, where he will be until December the 15th. But I'm also going to bring to your attention the idea that this week has a kind of like surprise, like a surprise of some kind. I might put out a separate video just on Mars if I have time to record it. Why would I do that? Because it's its own story. Oops, Blake Lively. She's there for my Sky Reader class this morning. So we don't need Blake in the story. No. We'll hit the now button and move us closer to the now. I'm going to have a great outro. I'm going to be talking about astrology, being grabbed by the planets, and what you can do to kind of take astrology, use it as a tool, and move in alignment with life. But I'm going to teach you something at the very end in the outro based on my own experience about how to sort of work with the planets, especially if you're having difficult transits, and how to get yourself not caught up in the drama of the planets that are affecting you. So that's the outro at the end of the video. I don't know if I'm going to do a card pull today. I may or may not. I had a long day teaching Sky Reader. Our last class ran over 2.5 hours today. And I need to decompress from reality because it's been a long week. All right, so guys, here's the sky. This is November the 1st. We're actually talking about the week starting on November 3rd. Let's move us there. 2 days, I mean. And I'm going to get rid of all the other stuff we don't need, like the midheaven, because it doesn't, midheaven's moving super fast, a degree every 4 minutes. It's not something you need to look at. It has no relevance here. We can take all that out, make it simple. And we're starting with Aries. So give me a sec. All right. And we're going to go backwards in time. And we'll make it an Aries chart. Aries, I'm one of you. I have a sun and moon in Aries. If you haven't hit the chart, if you haven't hit the like button, hit the chart, subscribed, or anything like that, can you do that, please? Thank you. It helps my channel grow, and I really do appreciate you guys. Aries, it has a story for you, okay, of Mars moving into the sign of Sag. And he's going to cross the barrier and move into the sign of Sagittarius this week. We got the moon covered. The Taurus moon video is already out, so go watch it. We've got the Uranus ingress video. Go watch it. So we're focusing on Mars in your ninth house of God. Well, Mars here is aggressive. He's also flowing to you in what we call a fire trine. And specifically, if you're somebody, as Mars this week is moving through the very early degrees and you have your sun, moon, or rising in the first, say, 5 degrees of Aries, you're going to say, hey, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Good to see you. How's it going? You're going to like this story. It feels good. The trine feels good. Very, very often it can mean you're going to travel or plan to travel to a foreign country or distant land. Apply a lot of ambition and excitement to some kind of essay, academic project, publishing project. You might have some connection to a sibling too older than you that's quite high spirited, and you're quite excited by that as well. If you have a sibling too older, where Mars is sitting. As Mars is moving through Sagittarius, however, and he first ingresses on November the 4th, although it's possible you could feel it earlier, but on November 4th for sure, sign-based opposition. And Mars is going to have a electric shock here. You're going to be like sparked by something. Something's going to spark a surprise, an unexpected development. Because it's in a travel axis of 9 and 3, unfortunately, this could disrupt travel plans. So as an Aries sun, I'm like, uh-oh, I have travel plans on the 16th to Mexico. So hopefully it's not disrupting those plans. You could have disruptive energies or unexpected energies regarding a sibling, one younger and two older, or matters to do with the online digital world. That's the third house. So thereby maybe there's going to be a power outage or a systems down or a massive cyber attack that really impacts something you're trying to accomplish, especially with the third house, which would be internet-based activities. The surprising energy may also connect you with Mercury up in Sag as well to some like phone call, text message, or email coming over the transom. And it could be, again, siblings, two older, one younger, cousins, nieces, and nephews, people in the neighborhood, information, neighbor knocking on the door, a violent threat for a lawsuit, right? Now, Mars can be very legalese, like up there. So watch out for sudden shocks about trials, judges, lawyers, lawsuits, etc. And Mercury's there and he rules the house of lawsuits for you. So someone might get really all gnarly and decide they're going to, even a neighbor, and they're going to sue you at the homeowners association for the bad pottery pots or something on your front lawn. So it's not a big deal necessarily. It doesn't last very long. And by, let's say, Saturday at the very latest, I think you're not going to really feel it anymore. But Tuesday, yeah, it starts to kick in for you. So look for the surprise, basically. Look for the surprise. And if we were to figure out a way to handle this energy, I'm going to grab a card for you from one of my decks. I'm going to do that for everybody. Let me go over to my office deck, but I'm not going to get one that I have to read the whole darn thing. So what's the simple deck that I have here that I could use? Let's see. Something that requires a little bit of reading, but not a lot of energy. You can see I wasn't planning to do this. I just decided to. I don't know. Let's see. I don't think the decks that I'm looking for are here, are the ones I prefer. Maybe I put them somewhere else. Animal spirit. Yeah, I like this deck. We're going to do the Kim Krans. I'm only going to give you keywords. But what I like about Kim Kran's Oracle deck, I don't know if you can hear me away from the microphone, but I'm going to just draw a card like, how do you get your chill on, or what's the best approach to a week? Okay, a week in which there's a kind of a shock and surprise energy going on between the third house. And now don't forget, in the beginning of the video, you might be able to connect the dots somewhat to things that were going on in your life July 15th of 2024 and on June the 15th, 2023. 5. There may be interconnected dots of meaning. All right. So you have to think about those places in your life, those times and places, what was going on. For me, as an Aries sun, the 3rd house is social media, and my channel blew up in July of 2025 because I predicted the Trump thing accurately. And then in June, I don't remember when the Pope died, but if I predicted it in June, I had a nice bumping blow up from that prediction as well. You are a hawk. You need to be in your hawk mode during this week ahead as you deal with this electric force. So I just gave you an example that you can see is not negative, right? It just means electric, exhilarating, exciting, turbocharged, unexpected development. Watchful, all-seeing messenger of divinity, and your keywords this week is you see clearly and you are intuitive. Uranus rules your pineal gland. He's in the house of divination, scrying, and fortune telling, the 3rd house. When you're out of balance this week, you will see too much and you will be suspicious. That sounds like Candace Owens. And she's right. To bring yourself into balance, it is a perspective shift. If you're feeling wobbly, a perspective shift. Something good is always trying to happen. How is that? You got disrupted travel plans, and you say, well, thank God the universe is taking care of me. I'm not traveling because it's better for me to stay safe and at home. That's an example of a perspective shift. It's happening for you, not to you in a bad way. I think I need chocolate already. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a very intense time that you're finishing up, right? Uranus has been in your sign ever since 2018. And then you're going to notice that like in July of 24 and June of 25, it was Uranus in your sign, opposite and square Mars. So you've been through this like kind of energy, and this is still a part of that same synodic cycle. So you can connect the dots to those times as you are going to have a surprise, shock, or unexpected financial development of some sort. That's because your 8th house is other people's money and shared resources. I call it chunky money. It can be inheritances, spousal support, alimony, investments, tax rebates, insurance payouts, take your pick, so many meanings there. And your 2nd house is your own possessions and earnings that you're making, often connected to salary and earnings. And there is this kind of surprise. Now, is it bad or is it good? I'll tell you what I don't mind, and I should have mentioned this from Aries. I don't mind Pluto here because Pluto says, I'll pitch in. That's called a wedge. I'll help out. Let's make something good happen. This is not a wedge. This is out of sign, but this is a wedge. And so you might find yourself having a really positive and surprising uplift when it comes to career, work, money, reputation. Maybe a performance review bonus check, maybe an increase in salary, whatever it is. I think you're surprised, but I don't think you're upset. But you might go back. What kind of things were going on in your life as a general principle, as Uranus was in Taurus during June of 2025, mid-June, and mid-July of 2024. It's conceivable that you can connect some dots to those stories and make some sense of it vis-a-vis the 4th house of home, property, and real estate, because that was the angle that we experienced in June, the last time this happened, June of 25, the square. All right. So there's a lot going on, a lot of energy going on that you might be feeling similar energies with again. And the conjunction happened, back in your sign, 26 Taurus in 2024. And if you're a late degree, 25 to 29 Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, you're going through a very big 2-year change cycle in your career for your sun, your identity for your rising sign, and your home life for your Taurus moons. Now let's go ahead and draw a card too for you, because I just think this is some kind of money surprise, but connected to 10th house, career, and reputation. The only downside is Pluto, the god of death, in the house of the father, with the sun in the setting place. It could also indicate a surprising news coming to you that dad or father figure or great grandpa Joe is not doing well. Maybe he's passed or passing, and you might be looking at some chunky money news coming your way that you will receive some inheritance. You've got the sea serpent already, Taurus. Well, you are an earth creature, not a sea creature, but we have all kinds of grand water trine active, not just this week, but all month long. Sea serpent is a special card. It doesn't belong to the regular animals. It's like mystical and mythical creatures. So it's a special section in the back of her book. And it's a healing emotional wounds and expressing your desires. The 8th house is about emotional wounds because it's your psychological baggage house. So there is that activation of your 8th house. The sea serpent doesn't have short form. It's a long read, so we'll have to go with it. The sea serpent represents the energy of expression, whether emotions, creativity, or sensuality, and helps move and direct your energy this week into healthy currents. And when the essence of this card is in balance, you will express yourself creatively and sexually without fear or shame. Yeah, it's because you have fear and shame in the eighth house. It's a lot of stuff to think about, isn't it? Hmm. So I don't want you to think of yourself, by the way, like a wounded, damaged bird, because I'm talking about Mars in your eighth house of fear and shame. He's often really good at cutting through the dross and removing that. But because Mercury's there, also I'm going to add to you, there may be some unexpected disclosures of secrets that were hidden from your view as well this week ahead. So find your emotional resilience here. We know what we desire most. Our heart is at ease, and our relationships are meaningful and enduring when we know what we desire. When our heart, yeah, we loosen the grip of self-judgment. We let the cool waters of forgiveness in to heal our wounds. And when this energy, Taurus, of the sea serpent is not yet activated, however, our emotions and creativity are left in the muddy waters. The current of expression stagnates in some area of our life, and in other places it floods. It's important to remember this week, no matter what the waters of our emotional life look like, the sea serpent loves us just the same. Aww. Just like a mother wraps herself around us in the gesture of protection, she supports us as we learn to express our true nature. This is connected to the second chakra. Okay, that's why the sexuality element was brought into place. Yeah, all right, we can work with it. Now, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign, clearly you're going to be in the thick of it. I probably should have started with you. I had been thinking because you are experiencing Uranus still in your sign, moving out of your sign, been there since July 7th, moving out of your sign this week ahead, giving you a breather. You're off duty for a while. He changes signs on the 7th, but you're going to notice that before that, on Tuesday the 4th, with Mars moving into your long-term committed love relationship house, if you're in a relationship, Mars cuts and severs or separates, maybe just geographical distance, but because of Uranus, there could be shocks and surprises connected to committed long-term relationship love. And because there's also a sextile or a wedge forming to Pluto, I don't know, maybe you're going to be able to transform or regenerate or renew the relationship because you're going to dive into more spiritual terrain together. But sadly, this can also look like the potential for separation, legal, divorce, courts and judges, shocks and surprises, like being served a divorce paper or something like that. Now, if you're not with somebody, a troll, right? Harsh speech, sharp speech, sword-like flying arrows of communications from someone else coming at you. So you just watch out. It's just going to last a few days, like November 4th till Saturday. Maybe you'll be feeling like, oh my God, my trolls are after me. Oh my God, my spouse is gnarly. I wouldn't start dating under this energy. You would bake in a new relationship with Mars. Uranus opposition. I'll be very, very unstable. Ignore Venus in the 5th house. Don't start dating someone this week ahead. Wait a while. And the only other thing I want to say about this is that sometimes Mars here can be very, very connected to the archetype of spousal leave taking, right? The spouse is walking out the door, or I'm done, or whatever. So keep that in mind. And you're shocked or surprised, you didn't see it coming. But also go back, of course, as I said, synodic cycle. If this is going to impact things to do with self and other marriage stuff, go back to the relationship parts of your chart and your life. How was it going for you in July of 24? And how was it going for you in June of 25? This is an interconnected story. If you're single, as I said, just lay low. Just watch out for your trolls. I have a progressed Gemini sun, which is my career. I certainly can expect some very aggressive troll energy coming at me. I'll be ready for it. We'll talk about how to work with difficult skies in the outro. Oh, I forgot a card. So we're going to draw an animal spirit deck just for some keywords on how to handle some of this shock and awe energetically the week ahead. I mean, it is a surprising. Cobra, get your snaky venom out there. Psst. Fight back. I don't know if that's what it says. Let's see. What does I have not drawn that Cobra card. for like ever, like for myself or anything. Of course, it looks very Kundalini, doesn't it? Cobra, what do you have to tell the Gemini folk here? So funny. I had a Kundalini activation dream recently. I have a Gemini progressed sun. And the other day I was vibrating. I thought there was an earthquake, but it was me. I've been doing a lot of meditation, or I wouldn't even call it that, presencing lately. And I'm very activated in my Kundalini, in the Kundalini. It doesn't belong to me. All right. So pausing, waiting, and your inner teacher. Okay. Pausing, waiting this week, listening to your inner teacher. And the keywords here, because this is like a spiritual guardian energy, according to this book. When you're in balance this week, you're a student of life, you're humble and you are wise. But if you're out of balance, you can be egocentric and know it all. So I can see you fighting back against the sharp words or communications coming at you. To bring yourself into balance this week, take a class and study something. Well, what a great idea. Maybe I'll try to find a pottery class this weekend. All right, let's go ahead and share the chart yet again. Oh, good. It's actually there without me losing it this time. And we're moving into you Cancers for this week ahead. So don't forget, in the intro, I told you that the Taurus moon is already done. There's a video out on that in depth. I already covered Uranus moving on Friday into Taurus and how to delineate the next few months of your life. Go watch that video. Let's look at this instead for this week. You know, here comes the Mars ingress on Tuesday into your 6th house. And that's the work and health house. And then it's also pets. And it's also matters to do with maybe debts you owe or debts owed to you, or even sometimes contractual agreements regarding rental property. And there's a shock or a surprise that may occur at this time. Or regarding those themes with Uranus in the house of hospitals, then it could be definitely about the unexpected health challenge that puts your pet in like the vet's office or something like that. Now, Mars is really here also in a flow to Pluto to remind you that you also have perhaps some good financial things happening. And that could be that tax rebate. That could be something good going on with a debt owed to you by someone, somehow, somewhere, someplace. You know, Jupiter's making you lucky. He rules the whole thing in the 7th house, in the 6th house for you. So all said and done, I don't think it's going to be that disturbing. And, you know, I don't know what your situation is with your animal. If you have a pet, you know, they can get sick or, you know, even leave under this transit. I have to be honest, but that's what happens. Life is full of that stuff. And so you can't change the outcome of a soul of a person or a pet. When they're ready to leave, they're ready to leave. They're no different than people. So do your best to love your animal while you've got them. This week doesn't look so easy for your pet. And certainly Mars can be accidents, right? Or their pet needs surgery. So watch out for that as well. When it comes to your health, Sagittarius rules your hips. So be very careful you don't fall and injure your hip, or be careful with your hip mobility issues. You don't want to cause a sudden shocking development where you are disabling your hip. And also Mars can represent just inflammation, fevers, rashes, temperatures, heat. So you could be in an inflammatory health challenge this week ahead, starting on November 4th. A bigger picture, of course, in the beginning, go back to mid-July of 24. What were you doing in your life? What was happening mid-June of 25? Because that is when Mars and Uranus were activating each other in different signs, but it's still a part of the broader synodic cycle. And so this is a continuation of something that started in your 11th house of great gains, career gains, a sibling one older, and now is going to move into another part of the story to do with 6th house, 12th house matters, which I've already delineated for you. Boy, this throat thing, man. Guys, in the comments, tell me, did you get it? Like, I got it, but I got a kind of like muted version of it. And whatever is going on that people are coming down with, I got, you know, the light version of it. Like, I don't get headaches, you know, I get sore throats. But I had all of that, but I really didn't get super sick. Like, I just got annoyingly tired. Nightingale. So the nightingale is singing for you this week ahead. If you want to handle this energy productively, shall we take a look at it? Because it could be exciting. Nightingale, how will you handle this 6th house activation, 12th house activation? That looks like the bird card has a top thingy on it. So here we go, Nightingale. I just love the Nightingale energy. Nightingale. Well, all right. This week ahead, if you are in your groove, you have a fearless voice, speech, communication, or song. Fearless. Be fearless in what you have to say, communicate, etc. If you're imbalanced this week, you are speaking freely with kindness and singing in the shower, maybe. Out of balance this week, you are shy and you have a lump in your throat. And to bring yourself this week into balance through all of the electrical energy, you should be playing music to get your groove back on and feel better about reality. All right. And then we have Leo. If you're a Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign, you're going to experience this energy in the sign of Sagittarius opposite your Gemini 11th house. Now, this energy can be very much about one of your children. Where they belong is the 5th house, or maybe a friend, the 11th house. So children and friends are very activated. A sibling, one older than you and two younger, are highly activated, house 11 and 5. And so you're very possibly going to experience these stories about other people, not even you. You're watching on the sidelines about the surprising, shocking developments going on with those other people in your life. And with the connection to Pluto, especially for one of your children, it could look like a change in the relationship status, positive or negative, getting married, getting divorced, what's going on with them. Or if it's about a sibling, one older, also a change in their relationship status to reality. Or a sibling, one older than you, could have a windfall of some sort. There's lots of ways it could work out. Now, energetically speaking, your 5th house is also your creative and muse-inspired creative hobbies and passions and things you are naturally good at. And there could be some really exciting developments there. It may not be at all negative, just exciting. And maybe you're going to reach like a Plutonian other that wants to support your work, your creativity, your business, a business partner. And look for the idea that with Uranus retrograde, you've been in this since July 7th, consideration of greater career gains and increasing your profitability in your career. This could be a sudden surge of that profitability. Now, potentially, maybe you might find that the seed you planted in your 10th house of career in July of 2024, when this conjunction was seeded between Uranus and Mars, and then it played out in the Leo part of your sky in June of 25. Now it's playing out in a very creative and entrepreneurial part of your chart. Some of you may be stepping away, getting ready to move away from employment into your own self-created entrepreneurial business. And this may be a shocking surprise as you see the opportunity manifest before you, and maybe you get ready to step into it, for example. Surprises from your children, though. They're going to like say, divorce, I'm getting married. Hopefully I'm not, I'm pregnant. I only say that because Mars often rules the way to get rid of that situation, right? Or a natural way to get rid of it. So that's a little shocking, unfortunately, too. No one wants that to happen. You have the hawk. Second card to get the hawk, which is a predator bird, apex predator, but it's also a powerful animal for how you're supposed to handle this week ahead. You're going to be, okay, Leo, watchful, all-seeing, and a messenger of divinity. And you will be seeing clearly and using your intuition. But if you're out of balance this week, you will see too much and you'll feel suspicious. Don't forget, it's about your children, especially, or your lover, or your marriage partner, and your marriage partner and sexual secrets. Mars, Mercury. Oh, you never know. That could be a thing. Okay, I'm making a story up. I'm suspicious. And to bring yourself into balance, you need to have a perspective shift. Thank God I found out about that. Or thank God my kid told me that, because by telling me that, at least I can deal with it and help them or something like that. I hope that's not in the way. I'm seeing the Zoom workplace. It's annoying me. All right. Hopefully you haven't been seeing it. Geez, maybe you've been seeing the Zoom workplace over my screen this entire time. Sorry about that. Ever since the Home upgrade, nothing works properly anymore. So I apologize if that's what you were looking at. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Your story has a clear and present story line. Virgo, you are ruled by Mercury. Mercury is moving into Sag. He's debilitated there. He's with Mars. He's opposite the Uranian story. A shocking surprise in your work environment, or it could be positive, but you're surprised. a surprise or shock about something to do with your home, and maybe an opportunity for a move, especially for a new rental move. If you want to rent a property, lease a property with Pluto in your sixth house, that would be more likely to be true than a purchase or sale. But there's unexpected developments. Mars loves to move, and he could move you from your home with new information that comes through your life that surprises you. It may be professional, maybe like the company's moving to a different state and you're invited to come along. You might find yourself also in a situation where the move is connected to a desire to be in a place where you're in a better situation for your health, and unexpectedly, like, oh my God, we've got mold or an infestation in my home. And there's going to be an opportunity to move because of that. Or you're going to suddenly realize, oh no, there's mold here, I have to move. So there's a shift of awareness. It could happen about relocation as well. And, you know, there's a lot I can say about Mars in the fourth house, but one of them is arguing. You're going to be dealing with this until mid-December, right? I'm going to do a special video on that. So be careful. Every 2 years, this is where you could get into domestic disputes and conflicts with anyone that you live with, especially this first week here with Mars and Mercury. It's going to be like arrows, like conversations that feel like arrows. Be careful. Just square your marriage house with Saturn, right? With the hardship energies. I mean, so be careful about domestic arguments with the one you live with, if you live with someone or spend time with someone in relationship. Pluto in the house of pets, Mars cutting and severing in the fourth house. If you have a pet, there may be a death of a pet. Mercury can be purchasing a pet, and Venus is flowing from the second. So some of you might want to be looking at a situation and taking action in surprisingly swift ways to purchase a pet. Sometimes we don't plan it though. You know what I mean? Like you're thinking, oh, I'm going to wait 2 more years to get an animal, Virgos. And then suddenly you find an opportunity arising and you just can't say no. You want that rescue. You want that puppy. It's going to happen. You're going to take it on. Watch for the oyster energy this week ahead for you. Okay. Now you have the South Node Virgo in your sign, which is depleting on your health sometimes, makes you feel like you have to go into surrender mode for reality. And this transit of the South Node is there till next July. Started in January of this year. It's intense. Also, consider that you planted a seed in Taurus, your ninth house, of being on purpose and having a meaningful life, foreign land and travel. Those are seeds you planted in July of 2024. And this is a continuing of that narrative. All right. So, oh my God, I'm losing my voice again. I did talk for 2 hours to teach a class, 2.5 hours. It's just the starfish. I need to get vocal training. At least I don't sound, there's a show I watch. I'm going to complain to Virgos. Can I complain to you guys? Because you know why? You always want to be of service. So there's a show I watch and I really like it. It's called Breaking Points. And the girl, it's Crystal and Sagar. This is alt media. I don't listen to mainstream anymore. Breaking Points is a really good show. Breaking Points and something else, just 2 shows. Anyway, I like her, but she always has this really squeaky voice. You know, it's like, sounds like hinges. And if you want to get, you know, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like I sound like her. Starfish. You are a starfish if you're in your right groove this week ahead. Virgo. Let's take a look at starfish. 5-pointed star connected to the ocean and connected to star. So here we have it. This week, the way to handle the vibes of this electrical shocking current of energy is to be beautiful, alluring. Do not be superficial or shallow. This is a week ahead when you will be in balance, when you find yourself uplifting, artistic, and expressive. So go with that energy. You do have a strong Venus in Libra right now in your second house. So your verbal expression can be eloquent, mellow sounding, and people can really enjoy listening to you. If you're out of balance this week, you'll be a gossip and feel empty, but keep yourself in balance with your positive friend. Have some positive friends around you to stay in balance. Well, that's a lovely energy. Jupiter is in the house of friendship groups and circles until next July. He's giving you true friends, good friends, wise friends, beautiful friends, big friends, positive friends. New friends will come in and old friends will leave if they don't cut the mustard for you anymore. Don't make the cut. All righty, let's move into the sign of Libra. I don't know if I'm going to get through with my voice. I might need to go after this and go get chocolate and some water. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, This is a week in which some surprises could occur. In the third house, access to the ninth house. Those are people in your life. Could be a guru, a therapist, a spiritual guide, a teacher. It can be people like neighbors or cousins and siblings and uncles and aunts, or particularly siblings and the one younger. And they may be having something going on in their life where they're going through a shock or a surprise, and you're kind of watching it on the sideline. But if you're going to have any experiences there, Mars is slicing through until like December 15th, your website, your writing, your social media, and you could be very, very busy working hard. And all of a sudden there's something surprising or shocking and unexpected developing. This could be really good for book publishing deals if you're a writer. Read the fine print. Mercury's out of dignity. Pluto wants to wealth you up with artistic, creative, entrepreneurial intensities. And this could involve travel as well. If you're traveling under this energy, you might be shocked to discover yourself in a new love relationship. Venus in your first house can bring that to you. And Pluto says transformative. So single Libras could find a new love story percolating in their chart. Otherwise, unexpected travel disruptions, unexpected emails, phone calls, and texts from teachers, guides, mentors, or siblings, aunts and uncles, and neighbors. And just the shocking element is it's unexpected or unanticipated, perhaps. Again, there is travel disruption for your sign. Not all signs are going to have this. So if you have travel plans all booked up and stuff, then don't be surprised this week, Tuesday onward, if you change your plans. You planted seeds for like chunky money wealth, back in July of 2000. This is a retirement house. I have a Libra friend who retired from this energy of the conjunction of Mars and Uranus in her 8th house back in July of 24. That was the seed, but don't forget June 15th of 25, another activation happened here. It would have activated maybe some of your desire, perhaps, I'm just guessing, for more money through more creative impulses, more profits and gains from artistic and entrepreneurial activities. And you may have really leaned into that in June of 25. That's for some of you. And we're going to draw a card for you today. And how do you handle the electrical energy to stay in balance this week ahead? You need to be a gazelle, the beautiful gazelle, African creature of the Serengeti or something. I just made Serengeti up, but it's probably true. Well, let's get you guys into gazelle mode. Such a graceful beast, right? I have to say. Okay, you guys are going to have to be patient because there's no alphabetical order. Delicate, maybe skittish animal. I'm just guessing. Gazelle. Heightened awareness and ability to be vulnerable is going to be an energy for you this week. People love you this week, right? Until Venus changes signs on the 6th, you got your glow up with Venus in your sign. Go watch my moon video. Go watch my Uranus ingress video in the description box below. Already did those babies. So staying in balance for you is to be graceful, perceptive and artistic. That's your balance point. And if you're out of balance, you will have insomnia and a racing mind. Yeah, who wants that? And food allergies. So it's funny because the mind can be the 3rd house, how we think, right? And Mercury is out of detriment and Mars is aggressive. So I can see your mind overthinking things. And to bring yourself into balance, you need to do yin yoga, have a cozy home, and some good food. That's your remedy for the intensity of this week ahead. All right, Scorpio, I'm going to get through, I think, without water. There's a little dregs amount of my thing here. All right, guys, I'm going to get through it with you. Team Lori and Team Lunatic. Let's do this. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. My voice. You planted a seed in July of 2015 with a Mars-Uranus conjunction in the marriage house. Now, that could be about your partner. They may be going through a major 2-year renovation of identity, but this is kind of a Mars cut sever, Uranus surprise. Major changes in the way your relationship, if you're with somebody in a long-term committed love, has been unfolding since then. Okay. And with the opposition, the square from June 15th of 2025, the square relationship of Mars back then, Uranus still in your marriage house, could have also disrupted things to do with your relationship or your career path and agreements you have about your career with your spouse or with a boss. And that energy was playing out in June. Now here we are, and we're in the oppositional energy. And now it's moved into different signs, and it's about money because Mars is in your earnings, resources, and possessions, speech, face, teeth, nose. Mars will surgery. Mars could give you acne, pimples, facial rashes, dermabrasion, and surgery here. You can get it all. But, penetrating objects that fly through the air at your face. Be careful for injuring your face. Your toothbrush hits you in the face instead of the teeth. Be careful. Toothbrush injuries do happen. So you could be careful when you brush your teeth. Otherwise, you could get some dental work done. Cleaning or, cavities. Yeah, Mars will be here till mid-December. These themes will be true. But what I want to mention this week is surprise. Uranus says you didn't expect it. So you find out you got a mouthful of cavities. You discover that you need to have, something going on with your face to fix it. And, with Mars in the second house, your speech can be very hard. You have to be really careful this week particular that you don't create alarm and shock with people around you with the way you're saying things, especially with people who live in the home, Pluto in the fourth house. Now, Uranus is in an inheritance house. Jupiter is in a legal house. Pluto's in a legacy wealth house. There could be a surprise or shock or unexpected development regarding some legacy wealth from an aging elder or a family member. It's a possibility. Okay, I'm not sure it's going to happen, but I could see it happening with this guy. That's the shocking information this week. I would encourage you with Mars here, though, to be very cautious about how you speak to other people because you will have very aggressive or sharp energy with Mercury, and Mercury's not in dignity. So you might go over the top in expressing yourself in a bombastic and loud way and hurting somebody's feelings, right? Or really causing damage with your words. If you're a vocalist or you're a singer, well, that's not too shabby. Maybe you're just very booming it out there. But otherwise, be careful about harsh words in the word mix here. The words don't hurt people with your words this week ahead. But you could come into some chunky money and your good fortune, unexpected good fortune as well, although it could end up looking like it comes from an inheritance. I drew the card for you called the Nightingale. You're not the first one to get it. It makes sense because the nightingale's singing, and this is Mars in the house of your voice. And so we must take attention and look at that for you. So when the nightingale singeth in your chart this week ahead, and you're going to work with the energies instead of being grabbed by them, watch my outro about not being grabbed by planets and some ideas I have for you guys. Hopefully it's helpful because I had a synchronicity about how to tell you this today. Because I was thinking all day about it. For a very good reason. I'm going to tell you a very cool story. Story time and the outro. Nightingale, 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 where are you? You must wait for the answer. Fearless voice, speak with Mars, right? He's brave. He's reckless. He's brave. Your speech is brave or reckless. Fearless voice, speech, communication, or song. In balance, you are speaking freely with kindness. And you are singing. Remember I said your vocalist starts singing this week ahead. But when you're out of balance, you have a lump in your throat and you might feel shy about speaking. And to bring yourself into balance, pay attention to music. Music. I'd say sing in the shower. Get those vocal cords cleared. I said inflammation in the second house. There's also a bit about the throat that goes there. So that could be laryngitis, sore throat, the thing that's going around the grunge. So be careful. Wear your not protective gear. That's ridiculous. Use hand sanitizer. Oh, no. I didn't want to end my meeting. Why is it doing that? Use hand sanitizer, okay? This week ahead. Sagittarius, clearly you and the Gemini folk are really in the thick of it. You planted a seed in, July of 24. In Taurus, you really want to make a 2-year cycle of change of work, career, rental situations, pets, debts. You're trying to make changes there. And this is a time where you're halfway through the story. You're at the halfway point in the racetrack of the synodic cycle. And you may be indicated like in June, some foreign land stuff. But, I have a Sag friend who did a pilgrimage to El Camino in June and then went to India. So you might have done a lot of energy connected to your ninth house in June, July, when we also had Mars traveling through that part of your chart, talking to the storyline of a Uranus back then in Taurus. And you're breaking karmic patterns. You're breaking karmic patterns that have held you back during this cycle as well, which ends in 2026. Now, here we have this opening week, and here on, Tuesday the 4th, really, Mars is entering into your Sagittarius sky, and through till about Saturday, you're feeling like the electric surge of unexpected stuff, but comes through also the 7th house, which is your spouse, significant marriage, long-term committed love, doesn't have to be legal, or somebody else that's important, like a business partner, your audience member, if you're in the audience seeking business path. And a shock, a surprise, or an unexpected development. It does flow to Pluto. Pluto is your 3rd house, which can open up also indications of surprises in the life of a spouse or surprises in the life of a sibling, especially one younger, or extended family like cousins and uncles, and some surprises with them as well. And so this surprise energy may not be just about you. You may be witnessing it. And you've got a Martian disposition, though, and you could be with that Mars and Mercury combination, something going on in the life of a significant other could cause you to be very aggressive in the way you speak to them this week ahead, shouting at them or being mean-spirited in your communication style. So be careful with that. A disruption of a travel plan could happen off of this, but it wouldn't be a mild disruption, no big deal. It may involve disruption, a trip first to see a sibling, visit a sibling, connections to a sibling, or travel connected to spousal type relationships, and maybe some unexpected changes coming in that travel plan or in that travel agenda. All said and done, it's short-lived. You'll feel it ending by Saturday. I don't think that this is going to destroy a marriage or anything like that, but Mercury is the lord of the marriage house, debilitated in your sign with Mars. So this is where you going into combat mode and flying off the handle and communicating ineffectively could damage the long-term committed love relationship that you have in your life, especially with Chiron still traveling through your 5th house of, romantic love and sexual love. So there could be a blowout in your love stories this week ahead. Watch out for Tuesday through Saturday and see what happens. How do you stay in balance? How do you stay in balance? Now I need to get up and exercise. You stay in balance because you're going to be the Otter. Well, I think the Otter is play, but I don't know. So yeah, don't be all angry. Let's see if we get a little Otter energy going here. This is how you're going to cope with this week ahead. I think I'm going to need to stop, get some chocolate and come back, and some water. Otter, Otter, Otter. You're a water beast, right? Yes, you look like water to me. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, please, please, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Unobstructed joy, playfulness, and contentment. That's how you're going to handle it. You're going to be unobstructedly joyful, playful, and content. You're going to be full of love. You need nothing, and you're balanced. But if you're out of balance, boy, you get gloomy, you sigh, and you make silly excuses, probably to your lover, marriage partner, or even children. And when you're out of balance, yes, you're gloomy and make silly excuses and sigh. To bring yourself into balance, you need a dance party or a celebration. Well, why the hell not now? I'm going to be right back in 10 seconds. I need fluid. I'm all back, fortified by chocolate. Never lets me down when I feel like I can't keep on. I'm on my chocolate bars. Alrighty. These are pure chocolate, dark chocolate, good chocolate. Let's move on to the story of the Capricorn sun, moon, and rising. Got quite a week ahead, guys. Got Uranus moving through the sign of Gemini, 0 degrees. And here comes Mars opposition. This is connecting to a seed planting synodic cycle in your 5th house of sex, love, and romance. You planted a seed in July 15th of 2024, whether you knew it or not. Could get you pregnant, could change your love life, could get you a new relationship, could have ended an existing romantic sort of non-married relationship, could end one and begin another. It's what's the synodic cycle of Mars co-joining Uranus in July 15th of 2024 in your 5th house. Now you've got this new story developing. You got Mars in the halfway mark opposite Uranus, but we've shifted houses. We've moved to the 12th house and the 6th house, which is all about themes of karmic debt relationships. Do you owe a karmic debt to somebody? Is it time for it to be paid off? Does someone owe a debt, real or money or karmic, to you? Could it suddenly be coming to your doorstep for repayment plans? Do you have a sudden and a shocking development or bit of news about your pet, or about a rental opportunity, a property rental, especially when Mars is a ruler of your 4th house, and a rental property opportunity thing wouldn't surprise me at all. If you're dating somebody, you may have an unexpected chance to travel, an opportunity for travel connected to that person, and you may be planning it if that person is connected to a far offshore or distant land. Ultimately, though, this energy is always a surprise, and it's really a surprise because your 12th house and 6th house are blindsiding houses. You don't see it coming. You're not thinking it's going to arrive, whatever it is, the pet, the dating opportunity, the travel opportunity, the disruption of a work situation, unexpected health challenge that you weren't seeing at all. Mars rules inflammation and heat. Mars rules surgery. And there's a surprise unexpectedly. There's a hospital in the 12th house. Maybe you have to go for day surgery or something. And it surprises you. You didn't see it coming. That's the vibe of the sky. Pluto is being activated from the 2nd house. It also could involve issues with your health connected to teeth and face. And another energy that could be also very activated here is your lungs. Gemini can rule the lungs. I do want to say that the Pluto energy, though, as a separate story with the surprise, could indicate a work opportunity that has some financial power, some financial lucrativeness to it. It comes out of the blue, but if it does, it's from a person from a far off land and foreign shore, that this new work opportunity could emerge. So let's go ahead and let's draw a card and see what we get for your sign. And we'll stop the share, and I'll draw a card from good old Animal Spirit Guidebook. And this is by Kim Kranz, and I love this deck. I've had it since 2017. Ooh, you got one of the major arcana, like her special cards. The Cosmic Egg. The Cosmic Egg. Ooh. Well, Uranus is really, he's in a very interesting placement. The 6th house, right? It really has to do a lot with our karmic debt servicing, but it activates a kind of in between the world's metacosmos house, like the 12th house is spiritual liberation from the matrix kind of vibe. So let's see what we get for you on the snake wrapping around an egg for this week ahead. Unfortunately, I can't go short on this one because it doesn't have short code. I have to read the whole thing. So hang in there, Cosmic Egg. This is a week for you to understand the nature, Capricorn, of completion, harmony, and the infinite within the finite. The Cosmic Egg is the final card in the journey of the Animal Spirit deck, representing the unfolding of cosmic consciousness. It's an enlightenment card. You do have Mercury and Mars in your enlightenment house. Could be a breakthrough. Breakthrough is another word for anything Uranian. This state emerges after we have tread the path for quite some time, and through self-effort and grace, we experience self-realization. A sense of contentment and oneness, spontaneity arise within us, and the veils of our self-limiting beliefs are lifted. When this essence of the Cosmic Egg has not been activated, we can feel as if we will never get there, or that we travel alone, disconnected from others. Even if our encounter with this card is brief, appearing as a momentary glimmer or flash of interconnectedness, it is potent energy that will stay with us. The Cosmic Egg is a remedy for the fragmentation of modern life. It is through the power of this card we are reminded of the cosmic contract written at the beginning. We hold on to life, and life holds on to us. The journey is complete, but it does not end. And it has to do with the crown chakra, the 7th chakra. Wow. Well, Uranus can definitely give you something there. That's pretty intense. And we move into the next sign. I heard a dinging, but I thought my phone was off. Oh, it is. I'm one of you, Aquarius. I'm Aquarius rising. This is for sun, moon, and Aquarius rising. Beautiful sunset showing up outside my window. And you're going to notice that you planted a seed in Taurus back in July of 2020, 2024. Taurus for you is a part of the chart that you would recognize as property, land, home, and real estate, domestic life, and relationship to mother, perhaps. And you planted a seed when we had that conjunction in July, and it may have moved some of you to a new home since then, which I have done. But this cycle doesn't complete till next year. There can still be more challenges or moves regarding your home and property and real estate. Now, this second wave of June of 2025 put the disruptive energy of Mars in your house of committed love, squaring, Taurus or Uranus. It could have disrupted an ending or disruption of an existing long-term love relationship. And I'm using myself as an example. My partner, friend James, and I, we were really good friends, decided to become friends instead of a couple. And that was the trigger point for that in June of 15. And that's exactly what happened. Now, if you move forward and you see this story is continuing the narrative, it shifts to the 5th house of romantic and sexual love, your children, a sibling too younger than you, and some surprising breakthrough, unexpected developments, but often with Mercury, information or news, and Mars, change and action. Now, the 5th house can bring lottery wins because it is a house of good fortune, and Mars and Uranus, Mercury are in the house of windfalls. And you never know, with the North Node in the 2nd house of financial increase, you just might come across a karmic windfall. And you might want to consider this isn't a bad week to play the lottery just to see what happens. Worst case scenario, nothing happens. Great. If something does happen, take your pick. Unexpected, shocking surprises with that child that you have, and unexpected developments that may surprise you with a significant friend in your social circles and friendship groups. If you have an entrepreneurial, creative, artistic business, Mercury's in the house of public appeal or, influence over groups of people. Mars, though, is pretty sharp and cutting here. You might have a shocking surprise, connected to your creative, artistic, or entrepreneurial work, where there's some surprising conversation with somebody that, puts you in a tailspin, harsh words, harsh communication. But also with Pluto in your sign and flowing to this, you've got all the power. You are in a new kind of center. You know that poem, "The Center Cannot Hold," that old poem. Well, you can hold. You've got the center. You are like in the thick of Pluto energy. So this won't disrupt you the way it would if Pluto wasn't here. You're going to hold a new level of power through any unexpected disruptions, calamities, harsh energy, a breakup with a friend, a difficult circumstance with your child, a romantic encounter that has a shock and awe component, whatever. It'll show up in a way that you can handle this energy really, really well. All right. So keep that in mind. Mercury rules your house of romantic love. He's in the house of friendship. It could be something like a friend declaring they're interested in you and you're what? We're just friends. What are you talking about? So, or a colleague or something like that. So just that could be a surprise, and you're going to hold your Plutonian steadiness in the thick of the surprise. Now I'm hot. That's just the sun. That's not a menopause thing. Holy man. The sun is setting. The whole apartment is warm. Oh, we have the golden egg. All right, the golden egg. All right. One of the special cards that belong to the back of the deck. So you can consider it like kind of major arcana-ish. Right. Like there's unicorns back here and all kinds of shit, Golden egg for you, golden egg for me. The message at the center of the heart and the unstruck sound. Within the golden egg lives a precious sound. Deep within that sound resides a message. The sound cannot be heard, nor can the message discerned until we retreat from the noise of the modern day life. Wait till you hear my outro. And the magical essence of this golden egg needs warmth, quiet, and time to unfold. No rushing, pushing, grasping. Find a place of deep and restful ease, perhaps through yoga, nidra, or meditation. I do yoga nidra and I meditate. If you do not yet have a meditation practice, take time for introspection this week and contemplation. When the mind begins to settle and the breath is calm, ask the question that weighs heaviest on your heart, staying open to any response you hear and engaging with this energy of the golden egg. Is an advanced practice, and it requires becoming intimate with our very essence. This is my outro today, and comfortable with the vulnerability. When a feeling of tenderness or gratitude arises from deep within you, you know that you are well on your way. Your chest may swell like you were seeing an old friend that's been away for a long time. Listen to the message they've been waiting to tell you now. Yes, it's a heart chakra. I've been dreaming about the heart chakra, a lot of green dreams lately. Okay, very cool. Moving to the last sign, then the outro. Right, Pisces, here we go. Sun, moon, and rising sign. You planted a seed. You planted it back in July 2024. It was in the sign of Taurus, a new beginning and a fresh start, and you need to make changes. And Taurus is your third house of neighbors, neighborhood, siblings, travel. Changes regarding neighbor and siblings, travel. Did you change your neighbor? Do you move to a new house? Are you still going to do it if you haven't done it yet? I believe my Pisces rising sister moved to a new home at that time. So there was an inciting incident then, and the change is still unfolding through till next year. But then we add on top of that, we had a Leo activation. Maybe you had some health challenges that showed up for you, or some challenges in your work environment in the month of June 2025, pivoting the energy again. And here we are, and work challenges maybe. And here we are now at the final act, the oppositional energy halfway through the synodic cycle. The opposition here is moved into different signs. It's doing Gemini and Mars in your 10th house. It could be a shocking, surprising, sudden, and unexpected development in your career, in your home life, or connected to your spouse, because Mercury is up there with Mars and rules the spouse. And so spouse is going through hardship right now with the South Node, either physically, mentally, or emotionally. And it could be draining the relationship a bit too. But there's a shock and surprise, but because of the nodal axis, because Mercury rules the marriage house, and it's squaring the nodes of fate, all of this energy will tell me that you're basically going to also maybe think, oh, it's not about me after all. It's about my spouse, something to do with the home, something to do with your career, something to do with your spouse's life. All of this is possible. Now, you're kind of lucky. Jupiter in the house of good fortune right now. It's really good for your kids getting pregnant. It's really good for some winning some money, but that's not exactly the story. This is something else. And Uranus in the fourth house could bring a surge of break free and breakthrough connected to home, property, land, and real estate. Don't forget, you're still under the spell of maybe changing your city, your town, your neighborhood from the July activation of 2024. An unexpected development with somebody you live with or somebody from your homeland could show up here as well. And Mercury up there could be, some information or news that's being disclosed publicly that impacts your private life in a way that you didn't see coming. And it could include things like getting a pink slip or getting fired or a major change in the job structures. And there's not much you can do with that, right? It's happening because it's happening. You are the second card to get you are the second sign to get the Cobra. So we've had some repeats here today. Okay, the Cobra, which I always associate, as I said, with Kundalini, but Cobra energy in this deck is actually about, the snake is about, oh my gosh, guys, I'm ready to take a nap. I got up at 6 a.m. I wake up I wake up at 5 minutes to 6 a.m. I usually wake up before dawn. I have my candles lit, my fireplace go on. I love to sit in stillness and silence. I don't turn on my phone. I enjoy the moment. And then I'm fine until I get to this time of day and I'm ready for bed because I have worked all day. Okay, come on, Cobra. I'm finding it. There we go. This is your advice for this week, okay? You want to be pausing, waiting, and listening to your inner teacher. Pausing, waiting, listening to the inner teacher. If you're in balance this week, you are humble, you are wise, and you are a student of life, and you are wise. You have sage-like Saturn in your first house right now. When you're out of balance, you know it all, and you're egocentric. Be careful. And to bring yourself into balance this week, you need to take a class or study. Well, that's interesting because you can see the moon in the house of skills-based learning this week on Wednesday. So it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday. Wouldn't be too bad into Thursday to learn something or take a class and take the pressure off whatever this shock and awe is through that self, other, marriage, career, and home life story. Oh, no, I don't want to end the meeting. Now, outro time. And then I'm going to make some food, maybe have a glass of wine. Look, I have been really sort of pondering the existential conundrum of astrology, and I'm going to give you a tip. We can get under a sky that's difficult, like right now. Like I'm recording this for you guys a little late in the day, but like, November 1st. But recently, even playing out as I speak, in the last week and a half, we've had Mercury and Mars close to each other in Scorpio. Mars is sharp, stinging, hard, aggressive, combative. Scorpio, poisonous, stinging, tail, ouch. And of course, detective work. There's Candace Owens going to town, but also Mercury, right? And Mercury's got the speech, the communication that's harsh, stinging, aggressive. And I've been thinking to myself, how do we not become grabbed by the sky? Because in India, they say that, the planets are grabbers or grahas, and they take us and we suddenly start playing out the script, the script that they're writing in the sky, and we enact it like good little understudies and actors. Oh, Mars is angry with harsh words and a stinging tail. I'll take the job, or I'll be the victim of that, or whatever. So for example, but I got a solution. So that's where we're going to go. And it came to me today. It was really cool. I'll tell you how it came to me, but I'll give you an example. In my Sky Reader class, we had one person in the class disrupt the Q&A portion at the end of the class, just come on the mic and start complaining about something. She was complaining about a person in the class, okay, my assistant. And it was a really harsh words. It had a lot of blaming, shaming energy, and it really disrupted the class and people's emotions, right? Everybody felt really awkward by it. My assistant sort of blew it off and was breezy and just tried to diminish it. And then at the end of the meeting, another person stepped up, another assistant of mine, to really kind of say something about it, because she was also upset, and it became a thing, right? It became a big thing, and it snowballed in the community. It snowballed in ways I couldn't have predicted, that she came back into another study group that for one of my assistants for Sky Reader, and that the topic came up. Someone addressed her behavior in the class the day before, and then the moderator muted her, and then she felt she was attacked and humiliated by the other students. Well, hello, as I said to her in an email, don't you think my moderating assistant was feeling humiliated by you, and now you feel humiliated the day later? And energy, what you give comes back at you. That's a boomerang, karmic boomerang. But the really point isn't the story. The point is about our response to the sky. So in Sky Reader, on the day of the upset, on the Saturday teaching, at the end of class, this is a Q&A portion, I said, the sky is playing out here. We're being grabbed. People are being grabbed by the sky. You're being upset by the sky. You're either being victimized or you're the perpetrator, but you're in the Mars, Scorpio, stinging tail, archetypal poison energy, and you're just living it out without thinking. You're just becoming a part of the story. We all do that. Now, astrology works because it does work. We want to know that when Jupiter's in our 7th house, we might meet a soulmate. We want to know that when Venus is in the 5th house, we might become pregnant, because we often do. And it tells us what may happen. When do we come into the harder aspects? And they're tests. They're learning opportunities, they're growth edge opportunities. And the problem is we can't address them from the level of the character. This is a character, and we're in a simulation. I've been thinking about how to get people to understand you don't have to be, oh God, here comes a terrible, harsh aspect that's going to impact me. I hope it doesn't take me down. There's an escape hatch from being co-opted by the sky. You don't want to be co-opted from the good stuff. You want to go with it, but you also don't want to be overrun by it, too much of a good thing. So, especially where the North Node goes, ravenous hunger, right? I'm going to tell you the solution to this ravenous hunger. Like, I've got the North Node transiting my earnings, possessions, and resources house since January, finishing in July. And I've been under the spell of the hungry, ravenous, belly, no belly to digest it, wanting to increase my money, wanting to expand my resources so that I can retire one day at the expense of health, love, relationships, exercise, time out. Now I've seen it grabbing me, and I'm ungrabbing it myself from the sky. I'm taking myself off the grabber. And how am I doing it? Well, I'm walking today back from the supermarket, after my class, and I'm coming back to make your video. And I listen to Eckhart Tolle these days. And I'm listening to an Eckhart Tolle video on YouTube as I'm walking. And he talks about astrology, and he actually uses the word lunatic. So I knew this message was from me on this random pop-up video that came through my YouTube. And he was joking about the word moon and full moons, and how people overreact to a full moon. People are in hospitals, people are angry, people are murderous, bad things happen on full moons. And he laughed. That's where we get the lunatic. Here I am, because full moons bring out lunacy in people. Well, Luna, moon, right? And it's interesting. Because then he said, yeah, but astrology works. I see that it does he actually admits that astrology works. He says something like, I think it has merit. I think astrology does impact our lives. And then he says, but we can get out from underneath it by presence. And the more present we are, aware, alert, and still, alert, still presence on the daily. And you start there by stillness, quietude, and meditation to some degree, that we begin to unhook from being grabbed by the sky, because the only part of us that's grabbed by the sky, now these are my words, is the character in the simulation. The one who plays the character is your eternal nature, your spirit, your true self, your timeless, eternal, true, still, aware, alert self. And when I'm in that presence and in that space, which I make an effort to be all of the time these days, because I had a couple of massive spiritual awakenings. And so I'm circling back to that still point again. And it's not hard for me at this point. But I also noticed that things don't grab me. So the whole kerfuffle going on in my class, if this was me in any other time frame, would have upset me, would have caused me distress, would have made maybe me angry at the student who disrupted the class, maybe would have gotten me into a huge, tailspin around trying to figure out how to fix it. It would have like co-opted my peace, because I'm the maestro of the class and shit's going down and I didn't have control of that situation. The old version of me would have been disturbed by it. I wasn't disturbed at all. It didn't disturb me at all. I did find solutions for it from a place of calm presence. And I didn't desperately search for a solution. I let the solution arise. So it took a few days. So I want you to really think about, when you're listening to your astrology on YouTube and things about the sky, are going to be difficult. Like I've said this week, Mars is opposite Uranus. Something could break through, break free, or surprise you. There's something here that's free of all of that and can witness it and participate from a stronger, steady, alert, calm, unattached place. And good things come from that place. You know what I mean? Like the lack of being attached to the narrative and worried about the outcomes happens when we're in that presence. So all I can say is, you haven't read The Power of Now, which I read years ago, but really didn't get it then. Start with that book by Eckhart Tolle. He has a few. Stillness Speaks, The Power of Now. I find he's quite accessible on YouTube videos as well. And he's maybe not be your cup of tea. You can go find another spiritual teacher, but I'm giving you advice about astrology. Some of us are going to get grabbed this week ahead. That is an energetic, turbocharged Mars opposite Uranus. You could be upset because the internet's down, the cyber attacks, the airlines are shutting down, your travel plans are delayed, your sibling accuses you of something, your kid got pregnant unexpectedly, your job offer fell apart, you got fired. Shocking, surprising, unexpected things could happen this week. But there's a place you can go in yourself where, rather than it destabilizing you and all of a sudden the character's running around like a chicken without its head, in reactive mode, take time, don't react, pause, be still, and wait and see where you come to in the stillness. Some of you may not be able to do that yet. Maybe that's a new path for you. But those of you who already know this path, implement it liberally in this week ahead. All righty? I am done. Thank you for listening to this very long video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and bless all of you. Have an amazing week ahead.